Would you mind telling me a little bit about your background? I'm actually curious and would like to hear. I know you've said this a lot of time, but I was curious in some of the materials I read on your website about especially what happened when you became a monk and then you, a celibate monk, and then you later on gave back your ordination.
Yeah.
How did that happen, or why? It seems like an unusual path.
Well, I think a number of Westerners have become celibate monks in different traditions, or celibate nuns.
But you were still married and with your family while you were celibate.
Yeah, so that was unusual. I mean, in some way, I think if I sort of try to stand back from my life and look at what has been happening, I think that in different ways I've been presented with opportunities to integrate conflicting lifestyles. But I'm not sure why that's happened, but I think that's happened. I've been presented with opportunities to try to to understand and to experience whatever it is to be a celibate monk, but also at the same time to be doing that in a context that's normally thought to be mutually exclusive. So it's like I've had to expand myself in order to embrace two conflicting lifestyles or two conflicting ways of being, in order to produce some integration of what's historically been thought of as a mutually exclusive. You can only do one or the other. So I'm not sure why that's happened, but it seems to have been the case. And also it's happened in terms of the fact that, I have for some time been involved in an intellectual environment, being an academic, but also being an experiential or spiritual teacher. Often they're thought about as being mutually exclusive because one is concerned with the mind and the intellect and the other is just concerned with experience. So I've sort of been in a situation that I've had to work out how do I bring harmony and integrate purely experiential work, or experiential work that I want to be as pretty as powerful and give people the best result possible without devaluing the mind, because I believe that the mind and language can be used very skillfully in taking us beyond the mind.
And you actually went ahead and got a doctorate and have written several books all in sort of psychotherapy and its relationship to spirituality?
Yeah.
And so you obviously don't regret having done that. As you said, it gives you more access to more modalities, and you get to bring all of that work to the radiant mind work.
Well, I think in the West in particular, it means that I can appreciate people in terms of their intellectual identities without being seduced by the intellect. I don't find myself in the position of negating or feeling that I need to invalidate people's intellect, their mind, our need to...
They're going to resist you and
yeah,
even more.
Exactly. There'd be a disconnection. I would be perceived as being irrelevant if I can't connect with people in terms of their intellect. So I think I can do that, but without being seduced by the mind, and also I'm able to use some sort of deconstructive process in order to dismantle people's intellectual constructions and take them beyond the mind so they can experience transcendental wisdom.
So at the beginning of the course, when people meet with you, you probably have a lot of people bring their intellectual edifices to bear and have a little bit of doubt, and you kind of work with that and then move past it, or you just kind of put it over
I work with it in different ways. Sometimes I engage it full on, but then I work to sort of undo it, to unpack it, to see, so they can see that it's just an interpretation, it's just their way of thinking. It doesn't necessarily have any reality to it. But then at other times I just be present to it without giving it any energy. And then if you don't give an intellectual construction any energy, but also you're not invalidating it, then it's like it just begins to dissolve. That energy just begins to dissipate, and then people begin to connect with something that's more fundamental and not so identified with their thinking.
Do you ever find people wanting to elevate you as a teacher and what we call the Rajneesh problem? All of a sudden they're the students and you're the teacher who has a non-dual realization, and kind of very strange interpersonal dynamics usually seem to happen with almost every teacher. How do you avoid that or think about it?
Well, I am normal. I mean, I'm normal. I'm a normal person who, through whatever, 30 years of training and application, I've developed some capacity to access the unconditioned mind. In a way, I'm an educator, so I've developed some capacity to share that and communicate it, but I'm a normal person. People get that, they understand that, so there's no projection. They get me in terms of who I am. All they have to do is look at my life, right, in the larger context, and they can't, be involved in those sort of fanciful, elevated projections.